Hello and welcome. My name is Evgeny Rusakov and you're watching your favorite TVP World program, Interview from Vilnius. A recent public appeal by Russian blogger Victoria Bonya to Vladimir Putin has sparked an unexpectedly strong reaction, raising broader questions about the resilience of the Kremlin system, the state of Russia's information space, and the limits of loyalty within it. What may seem like an isolated episode could in fact reveal deeper dynamics inside today's Russia. To unpack these developments, we are joined by Eitvydas Bajarūnas, former ambassador of the Republic of Lithuania to Russia, the United Kingdom and Sweden. Eitvydas, thank you for joining us today, sir. Glad to see you in our studio.
Thank you very much for the invitation.
So, first of all, what's your overall assessment of this situation involving Russian blogger Victoria Bonya and her public appeal to Russian President Vladimir Putin? Why do you think it gained so much attention?
When I first time saw her speaking, and I think there was immediately quite a big media interest, both actually among Russian opposition bloggers and media people, but also internationally. And I thought, what is this person about? What is this young lady living a lifestyle life promotion, lifestyle life in influencer?
Exactly.
if you can use this term, living in Monaco.
Exactly.
What she's about? Whether this is a one-time sort of accidental phenomena, or is something behind this? And my sort of research or thought came to the conclusion that something more behind this. So a young lady living many years in Monaco, very, very popular among her age population, among those who probably normally will not even talk about war. Suddenly, this lady appeals with tough questions. Why internet is shut? Why there are fires in Siberia and nobody pays attention? Why cattle is slaughtered in Siberia,
flood in
Dagestan, which were questions usually you would be discussing this in opposition media. And suddenly this question were brought to 30 whatever million of her followers in Instagram, meant that these people started to be interested. Not only she brought this question, she was reposted and there was likes. I think that also probably brought question to the Putin and his surrounding, that this is something in it. But the other thing was that this was not stopped. This was not like a one-shot post. This became sort of like a disease, like to spread. And that's why Putin's administration decided to intervene in very creative way.
By the way, you've in one of your Facebook posts, you've called this public appeal as a stress test for Kremlin's system. Why did you call it that way?
Exactly, and this is why it's another aspect which attracted my attention and why it's interesting. It's not like if Bonya or some similar influencer would start to talk 3 years ago, where beginning of the war, a very solid Putin's stronghold kept grip on the country. There were some small cracks, opposition, but very minor. That probably would have less appeal among public. But now the situation is completely different, and this difference is what I describe transitioning from sort of not what I would not use this word doговорняк. Agreement.
Agreement, yeah.
Deal between Putin and his supporters or any other Russians. Even if you don't like this war, this war is not sympathetic. You have Ukrainian friends, and you've been to Kiev, and you see Kiev is under bombardment. But Putin saying, or Putin provides you, I will provide you stability. Simply sit in your home. If you don't like this war, doesn't care.
And then suddenly he doesn't.
And suddenly he doesn't. He sees that the system is cracking. A system, you as a Putin, you need to move more from this from this agreement-based relationship with your society, with the people, to the more control, which means you start to restrict internet, your economy is less now strong to support war, but also social life. There are some cracks, what we mean the fires and floods, which started to irritate people, and fatigue of the war coming.
Exactly.
Fatigue of the war means that people say, are we really sure that we need to continue?
Eitvydas, why do you think her statement triggered such a strong reaction from pro-Kremlin voices?
They realized that they do not have
Any
weapons, which normally, again, Vladimir Karamurza type of politicians,
Exactly.
or Navalny team, any sort of known figure would go into the critical. They say, this is the foreign agents. He or she lives in Washington, Vilnius, and Warsaw.
Yeah, well, that's
it's
right.
of course, and they are influenced by these countries. This is normal. So they would put all the efforts and effectively.
Let's be honest. Victoria Bonya lives in Monaco, but they tried to raise that topic, but they didn't succeed there.
Why? Because her sort of influence basis is
in Russia.
Is in Russia, some in Russia, but they do not care where she lives. She provides good content. She speaks with her language. She attracts you, and they suddenly. So if you, as a Vladimir Solovyov, will start to hit this basis, I mean, these people will go mad. They say, look, what's wrong with this lady? So that's why suddenly Solovyov realized that all his weapons, harassment, even say, I sue you to the court.
And
it doesn't work.
Well, Victoria Bonya used the system against the system.
Absolutely. She was using, indeed, system up to the limit because she was not addressing the war. From Lithuanian, Polish, or whatever sort of European view, we say, oh no, what this lady talks. She didn't mention war. If this is not big elephant,
she didn't mention war, but she mentioned all the consequences
absolutely.
that war brought to
That's
Russia.
why, again, she played very much according to the rules. If she would say, Mr. Putin, stop the war is wrong, I know, then definitely Russia would apply to her harsh measures. I think her channel will be shut out, or at least those who follow they would have problems. And now she said, Mr. Putin, I support you. Mr. Putin, I love you.
But
there are
some things you have to know about. Okay, Eitvydas, so again, talking about this public appeal. So do the Russian authorities have effective tools to manage or contain this kind of public discontent?
Of course, when I wrote my post in Facebook, and then there was a small article written, one of the American think tank along the line to try to analyze. Some of the commentators came, oh, Eitvydas, look to the Sobchak case. There was a sort of fake Russian politicians from the daughter of the famous St. Petersburg governor, who was boss of the Putin, and she at one, I think, presidential elections, I now forget which one, because all of them
there were loads of them. Yeah, that's right.
All of them are, there were many loads of them, but all of them are similar. Winning, Putin is winning. She was brought as a sort of alternative, sort of like a target, even also as an excuse, if any Western critical voices would be, Mr. Putin, your election process is not democratic. They say, oh, there are politicians who compete with me, even they criticize me. So there were some voices which I agree there might be even this case that Victoria Bonya became sort of new Sobchak in more modern phase. But the situation is so different. Even if someone very, very bright from FSB surrounding of Putin brought this Bonya as a sort of new Sobchak, they failed because this effect was contrary. People started to talk not about Bonya, but about the problem. They say, she really speaks to the point. We are now suffered, and our life is really miserable. And that's why this the content of Bonya was so powerful that even if Bonya now will be suppressed, might be even incorporated. I see, and it's very known, classical Russia's attempt. You will incorporate Bonya.
If you can't win against, if we can't win against you, we
You
will
will say,
incorporate you.
okay, go to the next and the next elections in the autumn. Go to the ruling party, Единая Россия, United Russia.
That would be a big mistake.
Okay, but even if she would go, okay, but already this distract or stress on the system is already made, and her effect is already going without her, and this is probably the biggest phenomenon. I think this is again what I spoke previously reflects the situation that Russia and Russia 22, which was cement solid, rock solid, although not winning war, but solid as far as a grip on the country, now is much more difficult. And that's why we should be watchful more attentively to Russia. And thank you for your interest, that there might be other cracks, like Soviet Union. If someone would ask when 86, when Gorbachev started perestroika, that in 5 years this country will cease to exist. He said, no, nonsense.
That's
In
nonsense.
87, okay, there were some more already wild talks and people
Probably
started
1988, 1989.
88, yeah, 89, and suddenly this country was brought to the collapse. So that's why when we talk about Russia, we start saying, okay, next year the few more bonus and Russia will go. No.
Okay.
But few more bonus, few more problems, economy going down, Russia is not winning the war, Armenia is going out of Russian control, and you are as an image of...
And then suddenly something happens.
Something happens. And that's why do not expect Russia to fall and to crack tomorrow. But the process started.
Okay, my final question briefly. So again, let's come back to this case. So what does this case tell us about the limits of loyalty in today's Russia?
This is probably only confirms a very well-known situation that sometimes people say, whether this is Russian war or Putin's war. So Putin's war means that there is only small surrounding in Kremlin which favoring the war, and the rest of countries, nice sort of people, Russian people, peaceful people. And there is another extreme which is even more gloomy. All Russians are in favor of the war. So the truth is somewhere between. And this Bonya's case, I think, even more confirmed that there are loyalist bases, which are out, usually you would say 20%, who would probably will go with a Putin until the end, and they support the war. When they see children, kindergarten in Kiev is bombed, they say it's
That's
right,
okay. Yeah,
right to go. And there are small opposition flank, which probably also 20%, who speak if they eager, if they have possibilities. Some of them escaped to Russia, like Vladimir Karamuzan and others. But there is a biggest chunk of the country which neither support this war nor favors. They receive family, they receive salaries, they have their old parents. They cannot move out of the country. They have some job, and they are waiting when this war is over. So now this is what we say silent loyalist bases start to move into the very unknown territory. Some opinion polls shows that there is no more and more people saying stop the war, but at least there is more and more people saying, would it be possible that there will be peaceful negotiations? So this situation is very fluid, that these two extremes, they will stand here, but this big part will start to move. And this is why we should be very watchful.
Nothing more to it. Eitvydas, thank you so much for joining us today, and I really hope to see you once again with a big, interesting topic in our studio. And I would like to remind our viewers that our guest for today was Eitvydas Bajarūnas, former ambassador of the Republic of Lithuania to Russia, the United Kingdom and Sweden. You're watching TVP World. Stay with us.